marketer. So just to recap, I'm a digital marketer specializing in paid traffic and paid advertising and conversion optimization. And on average, manage accounts from a monthly to 300,000 to about R500,000 per month, spread over from Google Ads, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So, and collectively, probably over the last 10, 12 years, spent over collectively on all the channels, probably between 100 to 150 million. So got vast experience in advertising. So that's a little bit of background about myself. In terms of things we're going to be focusing on today is some of the basics and for Google Ads. So we're going to be starting with Google Ads, looking at how to define and create Google Ads, set up campaigns, ad sets, use targeting and different targeting parameters, keywords, and the different objectives within Google Ads, and then also having a look at some of the reporting modules and seeing how you can potentially generate leads or sales. Following that, we'll have a quick break, and then we'll also be moving on to Facebook and looking how we can use Facebook with Google Ads, and then also having a look at Facebook for lead generation and sales with a reporting module. You're more than welcome to ask questions as we go. So if there are any questions, I think it might be more relevant for you to ask questions as we go. I think due to the small attendance, we should be able to do well. So without further ado, if you're happy for me to start, I'm just going to be going in and looking at our Google Ads dashboard. Everyone see the account or the Google Ads page? Yes. So this is a review of the advanced Google Ads account. So it's a fresh new install. And in terms, when I say advanced, it just allows us to have certain features. So if anyone has signed up for a new Google Ads account, your dashboard will probably look like this. So when you sign up for Google Ads in your first account, Google Ads actually creates what's called the smart campaign, or the easy setup, which is not ideal for creating campaigns and defining your exact targeting. So it is advised that you do switch over to what's called expert mode. So this is a different account. Just wanted to show you for reference. I don't currently manage this account, but I would advise that if you have signed up and for this instance, switch to expert mode, which then would allow you to have additional features, settings, and targeting that we'll be using to create our campaigns, targeting parameters, keywords, and locations. So for this instance, I'm also going to be looking at or using a demo of a site that uses lead generation and potentially sales to hopefully have a big mix of both worlds. So with that, it is advised that most websites include some form of call to action, especially if we're looking at lead generation. So you'll see there's a request a quote. Further down on the page is another request a quote, and then sometimes there's also a kind of a quick contact, and then also different modules to generate that lead. So if it's lead generation, there's a form that can be submitted potentially on every page. And then if it's e-commerce, actually having a look at their products and ensuring that they can inquire on individual products, which we'll probably touch on shortly. So that was just a quick overview of the different kind of sites that we'll be looking to utilize for the use case, so that there is and then what tracking do we do to measure the results. Any questions at the moment? And if I am also going too fast, please feel free to let me know, and I can also try and slow down. So we'll be looking at the campaign. Again, this is now an empty Google Ads account. We'll be looking to start our first campaign. So we can proceed and click the new campaign button. That will open up our setting up campaign parameters, and Google Ads will then present an objective selection. So yeah, we're going to be looking at what objective are we looking to collect from this campaign. Are we looking to generate sales, leads, website traffic, product and brand consideration? I wouldn't advise on going without any goal guidance, local store visits and promotions, app promotions, and brand awareness. The two campaigns that I would advise focusing on would be sales and leads. So with Google Ads, I would always advise with focusing on an objective that assists you to monetize some form of results. So it's result focus as opposed to sometimes website traffic, brand consideration. That's more branding and awareness and reach, which doesn't always result in generating a lead, which then you could ultimately follow up on and close for your business. Or if it was sales, that you can actually regenerate a sale and use that to now potentially acquire more sales over time. So for now, we're just going to be starting off with the lead campaign, and then I'll come back to a sales campaign. So you select the objective, and then it's going to ask us a few more settings. Just waiting here. So we're also going to be focusing more on the technical implementation of creating ads. It is also best for you to understand your strategy. What is the strategy that you're going to be using for the lead generation or the sales acquisition, so that your strategy falls in line with your objective, and you also understand your product and service with your audience, which we'll also touch on now shortly. Refresh. And then, so once you select the lead campaign, it's going to be a further campaign types. So we get search. So Google search, it would only be displayed when people are specifically searching within Google itself. So those ads with the search campaign type would only be using now when you go into Google and say, for example, so I'm just using the reference of the shirt company, maybe like t-shirt bulk promotions. So the ads that we're going to be focusing on, or for search, would be the ads that display here. You'll see kind of sponsored. This is where ideally we'd like to get our ads displaying with the search objective. Performance max, that's another campaign type I wouldn't advise on. It is good for additional reach, but it uses Google Display Network and Gmail's network to ultimately get your ads across the full network. So it could display on video, it could display on different websites, shopping. So essentially it's a holistic promotion that Google's really optimized for their benefit as opposed to kind of our benefit. So yeah, we're going to be focusing on platforms and campaign types that generate the results that you're after, because sometimes Google would advise and provide recommendations that eat away at the budget, that don't always generate results that you're ultimately after. So the campaign types that I would definitely advise would always be search. Display would really be used for more branding. And an example of display is, so yeah, we're on kind of biz community. If you see some of these ads on the right hand side, so this is an example of what's called a display ad. And you'll see at the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see kind of Google Ads, double click. So that is what's called a display ad. And normally with Google Ads, you get, with search, you only get cost per click. So say, for example, now, for me seeing this ad, even though I haven't clicked on it, you as the company are not paying for that impression. Only once the person clicks on the ad do you physically pay for that click. But with display ads, you are paying every time that ad physically displays and a person sees it. So it's more for a branding exercise and awareness, and sometimes it doesn't always generate results. It can be utilized in conjunction with a search campaign, which I'll also touch on a bit later. Having a look at some of the additional campaigns, we get shopping ads. So an example of the shopping ads would be some of these that actually display your product at the top of Google search, especially if it's product related. And within the shopping section, this is where further sponsored shopping ads could display that would include a keyword of the product and then the image and the price for them to go and click through directly through to your products. You'll see there those are sponsored, where these would be free listings from Google Merchants shop. Then we also get video and discovery. So discovery, again, is on YouTube, Gmail, and their discovery network. So for this instance, I would advise for now to conserve budget and ensure that your adverts are focused on the search campaigns or the Google's main search network using the search objective. So we'll select there. For now, you're more than welcome. So how else can we collect leads? If we're using a website, if you would also like to use phone so that they can actually call you directly. So those are sometimes options that if you don't have a website, you can actually generate using direct phone calls. So I'm just going to be including this website link into the ad. And what's nice is then Google will actually do a bit of a crawl of the site shortly. Lead form submissions, so we can actually collect lead forms directly within Google. Sometimes there the quality of the lead isn't as strong as the sales or the landing page should try and present them with more information for them to make an informed decision. Tracking for your leads, we can definitely look at setting that up. I would always advise it. Then there's installation options. So just to show you how the installation would normally work. So first, for us to ensure that we can track the traffic that we sending from our Google Ads account through to the website, this would need to be copied, and normally it's added through to the source code of the website in what's called the head section of the site. So it needs to be displayed or pasted in anywhere before that the content display. So anywhere you'll kind of see, I think, anywhere before the closing head tag. And normally most WordPress sites, Shopify, actually have a section for you to add that in. And that would be site-wide. So that would be then tracking any website visitor that clicks on your ad or that actually browses your ad so that we could possibly even remarket to them. Then there's a second, this would actually be an event. So yeah, what we want to do is we need to understand when does a conversion happen on your website. Normally, if it's an e-commerce site, after they've completed a checkout, so that would normally go on the order page. So within WooCommerce or Shopify, there would also be a section that gets pasted into to track conversions once the person has clicked on your ad and completed your checkout. That can also be posted on a thank you page if you are generating leads. So it's very important for you to kind of know now what that path is, that the user will land on one specific page, possibly go to request a quote. So I'm just going to show an example now. Submitting, and then you'll see it lands on a thank you page, so that this event pixel would actually then be placed only on the thank you page, so that we are essentially telling Google now that once a person goes through that process, if they clicked on our ad and then landed on this thank you page, and this individual pixel or event code can now be fired, Google can then associate that conversion with the ad, and we can start to measure, and then hopefully the more data we collect over time, the more we can hopefully acquire over time. Any questions on the event setup and some of the tracking? So we'll go further into the tracking, but this is just a quick example of some of the installations that will be needed, but sometimes it is a bit more of a technical requirement. If there's no questions, so then we'll proceed to name our campaign. So the campaign name can be quite generic because we are looking at creating just a campaign that houses our campaigns, and we can have many ads and many ad sets that are different. So I'm only going to be creating this campaign for search lead gen 2023. Continue. And now it's going to ask us for some form of bidding. We are after conversions because that's what we ask, ultimately wanting. So if we select conversions, Google will help us over time that if we want more conversions, they will try and find more conversions. If you request clicks, Google optimize your campaign and display your ads to users that are more inclined to click on ads and not inclined to convert. So I would always advise on conversion objective. So Google does have some form of AI, and it does, the more data it collects and the more we adjust the campaigns, the more essentially we are telling it and instructing it how we want Google to behave and display our ads based on past preferences. I would advise setting up a target cost per action. So this is quite important for you to for Google to know that what is the most we are prepared to pay for a potential conversion. Let's say now, as an example, so knowing your numbers is quite important. Let's say if we are looking, for this instance, we are chasing a bulk offers on t-shirts, and we know that our average order size is maybe 5,000 Rand, and we need to then understand what our margins are and what is our kind of potential costs. Then we need to work that marketing budget in, and so understand what are you prepared to pay for a lead that can use your services. So there we haven't discussed the lead. So say, for example, now you would be prepared to pay 500 Rand for a client that is now using your services. That is the most you'd be prepared to pay. But on average, maybe your website, you need 10 leads from your website to generate one customer. And if you're prepared to pay 500 Rand for one customer, but you need 10 leads, ultimately then you're looking to acquire a lead for 50 Rand per lead to generate that 500 Rand lead per acquisition. So we're actually going to look at trying to acquire leads at a 50 Rand cost. So Google will try and optimize our campaigns to acquire leads at hopefully 50 Rand. Initially, it might be more, and then we can adjust over time. Here's also an option that's quite new in Google Ads to acquire new clients. I wouldn't advise using this just yet, as it does exclude sometimes existing clients that are also looking around and they might have forgotten about your services unless you are using email marketing or remarketing. So I would advise to keep that unchecked for now. So by default, even though we selected the search network, Google will try to spread the budget in their display network. I would advise in excluding the Google display network and Google's search partners. So those could be anything from sometimes like DuckDuckGo. Those are other platforms that aren't as optimized for Google's traffic. And we just want to focus on a place where we know we want our ads to display on Google and avoid the additional fluff, if that makes sense. It's also quite important now for you to understand your location. So if you are promoting a service within a radius, it is advised to go quite specific and to your location targeting. Or if you provide services that can be done remotely, then possibly South Africa, or even if it's now products that you're selling and you can deliver the services, again, South Africa. So for now, I'm just going to select the whole of South Africa. The broader, the better, because now then you do have more opportunities, the larger your reach, and then we can get into some of the targeting parameters. Another option is to use either target, presence, or interest. So yes, so interest is sometimes that people have interest in certain locations. So sometimes what Google would actually do, so this is expanding our reach a little bit further than actual presence. So if people have interest in South Africa, but don't reside in South Africa, sometimes our ads could also display to them if they were in Namibia, sometimes overseas. So sometimes that's not always relevant. It's something to test with, depending on your business and strategy. I would potentially most of the time advise to go people in or regularly in the target locations that we're looking to focus on. If you, so it's also looking at additional languages. Sometimes we can include Afrikaans or specific, maybe different foreign languages. By default, especially if your website is communicating in English, it's advised to use English, because if we're communicating in a certain language and we send it through to and Google sees that there's a different language, your ads could actually be disapproved. If there was, say, for example, you had French, but you're marketing as English, Google sees that as a kind of manipulation attempt. So something to be aware of on that side of things. Audience segments, those are options for us to kind of maybe target people that we now know maybe that will have certain parents. So like as an example, now if you know that you are selling a product to parents that have kids in school, that might be a good option. So really understanding your audience now is quite important. Where does the audience reside? Is it male, female? So if you're promoting a men's grooming service, we'd want to exclude females. And if we're promoting a females hair removal service, we'd only want to target males. So really understanding the audience can be quite powerful to exclude and ensure our ads are quite specific and we're not wasting budget by displaying them to the wrong people and possibly generating clicks that aren't relevant to our business or service. So sometimes it can be around to just have a look at the options and take it from there. So there's not too many options in here, but sometimes it is worthwhile playing with and testing them out. And so we'll be going into a few more options now. Broad key match, I would always advise to keep broad key match off. So broad key match is that Google has 3 options that we'll also touch on. So broad key match is if any of my keywords, so say for example, I was typing in t-shirt bulk sales, but I don't do bulk sales, I do maybe only individual sales. But because the word t-shirt was mentioned and I'm using broad search, Google will display my ads regardless, even if one of my keywords is mentioned. So over time, Google is now there to, in my opinion, Google is actually wasting the budget. So I would advise on going to turning keyword broad match off, and we'll be going at looking at either using exact match or phrase match, which we'll be discussing in more detail. Another thing to be aware of is possibly ad scheduling. So you do have the option to schedule your ads at specific dates and times and turn weekends off if that was something that you wanted to do. So we can have them Monday to Friday or have weekends only. So as an example, sometimes we've noticed that certain individuals perform certain searches in the evenings and certain individuals perform certain searches during the week and then not on the weekends. And or you might not be able to follow up with them on the weekends, and you've noticed that you have a better success rate on lead conversions if you follow up within 10-15 minutes. So sometimes turning weekends off there to preserve, but at the same time you might be missing on certain leads. So it's there understanding your strategy, your objective, and when are the people searching for your products and services. So that could be useful to some individuals, sometimes not, and it could be an option to test out. Brand list is not something I would focus on this call. So there are more advanced options that we can look at, but I think to keep things simple for now, we're just going to go to the next step. As I said, Google has now crawled a site and has provided us with a selection of keywords. So this is now a broad or very generic campaign we're looking to create. Ultimately, we'd want to be quite specific with our campaigns and have ideally ad sets that are promoting maybe now t-shirts or even golf t-shirts only, and having a campaign around that, or ad sets around that, and taking them through to a category, and then maybe having long sleeve t-shirts. So they are the more relevant we can become with our search term, taking them to a destination where that relevance is met, you'll be able to see a better conversion rate, because that you essentially that relevance is kept in line with their search and needs. I think also something to be aware of, most of the time people are not looking for products and features. People are looking for problems to their or solutions to their problems. So sometimes, I mean, ultimately with a t-shirt, it's now, sure, they're looking for maybe a good t-shirt, but it's largely for them to keep warm or look good. So it's really focusing on the benefit for the user. How is your product or service going to benefit the user, and ensuring that message is in line with that benefit, and then that benefit also is illustrated on the landing page. So for now, I'm going to kind of keep these keywords in. We could add some more, but ultimately I think that's a good start. So it's now understanding what would users type into Google and if they do, that our ad display. So any of these specific keywords could then trigger the ad to display, and then hopefully we could acquire users to click through to our website so they could see our product and service, and hopefully take it from there. So I'm going to apply all. So all those keywords now in the system, and now we actually need to create our ad. So for now, I'm just going to be taking it through to the website, the main landing page, to keep things simple for now. So that would be my final URL, where I want the user to land on after they click on the ad. Yeah, we can then start writing what they call subject lines or headlines. So these would be essentially this main headline that we display on the ad. So you will actually see that there's a wording limit. So we aren't allowed to go more than 30 characters. And ideally, you'd also want to include the search terms that you've used, so that it matches the search term that the people are searching for. So the higher so Google has what's called a relevance score. The better the relevance for the person's search. If those keywords can match in our ad multiple times and on the landing page, the better that relevance score will be, and the better the chance of that ad displaying on Google search and displaying it against the competition. Because ultimately what's happening is, when a person searches, Google is having a automated auction, and the people with the best relevance score and the best competing budget would then get their ads to display at the top of search. So we'd include a variety of the titles, wholesale, fire, shirts. I'm just going to create a few, so you'll actually see that Google is trying to also provide you with some form of ad score. So the more that you can kind of tweak the suggestions from Google's side, the better that the potential finished off product will be at the end of the day. I'm just going to add some more in here. You'll see there it's increased a little, so it's still wanting some more information. Include popular keywords. So I'm just going to have a look there, what it's asking for. Yeah, we're just getting as many keywords in as possible, and we will refine them again now shortly. I'm just going to move on to some more descriptions. So the nice thing, it can provide you with some options, and then you're more than welcome to change the descriptions as you feel that's relevant to the product or service. Yeah, it's asking, so for additional access, we can include business names and logos. Sometimes it actually needs to now crawl your site further, and it's going to ask me to verify. So that's an additional process that you would need to go through. Site links, so these are additional options if we want to include site links on the site. So site links will display as these extra kind of links here, so that if the person promotions on sale, custom branding shirts, get a quick quote, that might help the user. So yeah, we've generated their attention, we've captured their attention, but now they only want to maybe see the products on sale or custom printing. So we'll probably look at now doing something similar. Site link, so we can just maybe say copy link address. So it's not the link. So that's one. So you'll kind of see then it'll display there. So you can add, I think, up to 4 site links. For this instance, I'm just proceeding to add 1. And then you actually select, so different ads can have different site links. So you can actually build up a library of site links, and then depending on the ad or the ad campaign, remove or include additional site links. Is everyone still with me? Any questions, concerns? Call outs. So the call outs, we can also look at creating. Those would then normally be for your cell phone numbers, so we can actually then have certain dates. So maybe like if you were providing a plumbing service or an emergency service, sometimes these would be also quite nice to be able to just get those additional messaging out on your ad. So the more information you can include on your ad, the more real estate you could potentially have on your ads, because then, and the more attention that could grab. So completing as many of the options as possible would be advised. So I went too far. So we can actually have specific dates, or we can just keep them in place. The same thing with the site links, and then we can also have a variety of different callouts and then enable them or disable them as needed.
Justin, just a question.
Yes.
Are call outs a call to action? It's not clear to me what exactly a call out is or where it's showing up.
So it will display under your, it's not really a call to action, it's just more information about your service. So it can include just, it's a small keyword you'll kind of see. So corporate clothing, we can have additional call outs. So yeah, maybe their terminology isn't as great. A call out shows additional text about popular or unique aspects of your business on your ad. So they've used as free delivery, 24-hour service, maybe free quotes, free consultations. So maybe just some additional aspects or unique selling options that your company provides that you maybe couldn't get anywhere else. Does that help?
That does. Thank you.
I think then that's good. I mean, ideally we'd want to get our score up, but I think just to go through to the next phase, we're going to collect next. So next, Google is going to ask you what your ideal budget would be. That would really be up to you. I would advise starting slow. So yeah, they're going to give some form of recommendation, and what our estimated weekly conversions would be, cost per conversion, and then our weekly costs. For now, I'm going to use that. However, you are able to set a budget based on your preferences. So that could be, I think the lowest that Google can do is 20 Rand a day, and then we can take it from there. It is advised to start slow, collect some data, and then rather scale, make additional tweaks. Once you understand the numbers, what is working, what's not working, you can always increase your budgets as you go. We've moved to next, and now we've just created the basic campaign. So this is just a quick overview, 92 keywords. We only have one ad. Sometimes it is advised to create multiple ads, because then you can also start testing a variation of ads. This ad for these keywords displays better or converts better or has a better click-through rate. So sometimes the more you test, the more you can understand if what's working, what's not working, and then how to adjust it and how to make certain improvements over time. We're going to publish the campaign, but we will be coming back to make certain edits, as this was just us setting up the initial campaign. So Google's now going to put it into a review phase. You'll see here it will go into a review phase for a day or two because it is a new account. Following that, we'll get what's called impressions. So impressions are essentially every time an ad is printed on the search. So even at the bottom, even if I haven't scrolled down to the bottom, you'll see here there'll probably be more ads. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it was 4 there. So those were, even if I hadn't scrolled down, those were imprinted on the page. So those would still get marked as an impression, even if I didn't see it. So that's impressions. Then you get reach. Reach is normally once a user has either scrolled past it. It doesn't mean they've read it, but their eyes should have somehow seen it, or that they've gone past the ad. So that's a little bit of a difference between impressions versus reach. Ultimately, the more impressions we get, the more potential reach, but those also aren't numbers to be too fixated about. We do want some form of high impression rate, high reach rate, but it's all dependent on what our click-through rate is, and then also with that, what our conversion rate is. It's sometimes not how many users are we missing out on, but it's what are we doing with the traffic that we generate in the conversions and the users we are paying to acquire. So that was quick, just a definition there. And now we're going to be going through to optimize a few more of our keywords, because by default now, even though we've asked Google not to use broad match, Google will use broad match. So maybe an example of broad match could be further if now I want my ad to display for wholesale apparel, but now the user goes and types in cheap wholesale apparel. That, because I've got wholesale apparel in my keyword and it's broad match, Google, once my ad is approved, Google could display my ad for those specific keywords. However, cheap might not be the word that I want my ad to display for. So therefore, I could be displaying an ad that's now, or I could be displaying my ad to a user that's now not relevant. And if he clicks on my ad, as an example, I'm paying for that click, but now the user is expecting cheap, and I maybe don't offer cheap. So that's where it is advised to use what's either called phrase match or exact match. The more you understand your products and service, exact match might be a better use case. An example I have maybe is I've got a overseas cleaning provider in the UK that services London, and they specialize in what's called end of tenancy cleaning and deep cleaning. And we only use exact search matches for those services. They don't want to do general house cleaning. They want to only do end of tenancy and deep cleaning. So we only use exact match, and we'd rather be more specific and with our ads, that our ads are displaying for people that are looking for those specific services. And then once once they search for it, our ad is displaying to them only and missing individuals that are looking for either now cheap house cleaning or one bedrooms or small house cleaning, if that makes sense. So it is advised. The nice thing, you actually can do a bulk select, edit, keyword match type, change all match types, and we want to do it either exact match or phrase match. I would probably in the beginning advise phrase match. That's at least it's showing that some of those keywords need to be in the phrase, and then we can include additional negative keywords. Negative keywords are keywords that we include that if this specific keyword is included in our search word, that it does not include our ad on the Google's network. So some of these keywords could be, as an example, could be job. If people are looking for t-shirt promotion jobs as an example, but because we didn't include the keyword, a negative keyword for jobs or job, if the person was still searching for t-shirt promotion jobs as an example, our ad could still be displayed and the people might be searching or clicking that specific ad. So that's where it's now being quite specific to understand and trying to avoid potential. Now, especially in South Africa with a large unemployment rate, that is a keyword that I definitely advise excluding, because we see it a lot in all industries. Sometimes cheap is also a keyword unless that's a service or product you promote. Maybe like in my instance, it sometimes could be cheap or affordable website. So it's really understanding your audience and your keywords and how to match them. So in most instances, at least cheap and jobs or jobs I would avoid or advise excluding on all campaigns. And the nice thing, as we collect data over time, we can identify, so with the search terms, what are people searching for? So I'm just going to maybe go to another account quickly. So this is an account that is selling toddler beds, bunk beds, wooden beds, Montessori beds. But what I more want to illustrate here is the keywords and some of the, so I'm just going to select a search campaign, go into the ad group, and then we will be looking at the keywords. So these are the keywords that we are currently targeting for at the moment. It's still just understanding what the people are searching for. So in this instance, I am looking at broad match, but I'm also excluding as I go. What's also quite interesting, under insights and reports, you get what's called then search terms. And there you can physically see what are users searching for and when are they either seeing our ad. So how many impressions, how many times did our ad display, and how many times did our ad get a click, and then what are the people searching for. So if we see something in here that we don't like or we want to exclude, we can then always select that and use that for our negative keywords. So then you also see there's certain campaigns here that are using now broad match or exact match or close variants. So that helps us understand when keywords are using broad match or the exact match model. Any questions on the broad match, exact match, phrase match? And then if we wanted to exclude, say, for example, a car bed, because maybe they don't provide car beds, we can then go and select that specific search term and add that as a negative keyword, so that if that keyword is mentioned in the future, our ad won't display for it. Okay, thankfully, we didn't get any clicks there. So the nice thing, we didn't pay for anything. Again, we only pay every time someone clicks on our ad. So it can be nice for additional branding, but at the same time, we also want to sometimes get clicks to generate the traffic and look at remarketing. Another strategy that is kind of a little bit of black hat with search is maybe also targeting our competitors. So, and sometimes also adding now our competitive keyword directly through to the brand could be an interesting option to use if you now know that people are searching for your brand and not for that brand, and maybe not always the service. So in this instance, I'm maybe going to use the previous one, brandability. So that is a big brand in this space. So sometimes actually including brand. And sometimes that can also be quite a nice, cheaper keyword to use. So this is where the strategy comes in to be, again, if we understand our demographic, our audience, what are people searching for, how can we be strategic to acquire traffic at the least cost? So let's say, for example, now we now can see that the average cost per now bunk bed for kids is R3.71. But a certain, another keyword that we're paying Montessori beds is 14 Rand. So let's say overall we're promoting for this campaign, we start to see that our t-shirt promotion keywords are on average between 14 Rand to 20 Rand a cost per click. So that might be a high cost per click, especially now if we needed 10 leads to be able to generate one sale. But now we might need to also, so we're paying 10, let's say 20 Rand a cost to our websites, but now we maybe needed 10 clicks to generate one lead. So that now ultimately we're paying 200 Rand for that lead where we only wanted to pay 50 Rand. So now it's trying to find out ways, how can we reduce that cost per click to ensure that we can generate the right amount of traffic? And sometimes it's all about the demand for that specific keyword. So if there's a high auction, if there's many companies auctioning against that keyword, because we can see there's one, at least two, 3, 4, there's multiple companies competing for that same keyword, where is there less competition? And sometimes it's maybe targeting the specific brands directly and actually trying to steal traffic away from them, knowing that there's less demand for that specific keyword. And then we might be able to generate a cost per click of 3 Rand to 5 Rand for that keyword versus a service or product related keyword. Does that make sense? Is everyone still with me there? I'm just trying to illustrate sometimes where the strategy becomes quite important and where we can use different strategies that meet the same, that result in the same end goal, and not putting all our eggs in one basket and now have a large competition. Because also, if we had to look at the auction insights, there we can also see who are we competing against, who is getting more visibility than us. We can kind of see that, okay, we've got a few competitors that have more impression share than us, and how can we get above them? But that's also all dependent on the budget, but then also who has a better top of page rate. So they might have more impression rates, but we have a potential higher, okay, not that one. I thought there was the 59. So trying to work on those, but again, depending on the budget and trying to ascertain what the budget is, we might not always want to be at the top. It's just how can we ensure the traffic we do generate, we can utilize to the best of our ability. Any questions on the keywords, negative keywords, broad match, phrase match? So this ad would now probably go into review, and within a day or two, it will start generating traffic. So the next area we're going to focus on is, now we've created our objectives, our keywords, and now we're ultimately going to be waiting for traffic. So the next example I'm going to use is now coming back to this Bambino store, just to give you some kind of context. Now I had to review some more data. So we've got goals that we've set up. So here within the goals, we are looking what conversions do we want to track. And those could all be set up and then configured within our goals. And we can create a variety of goals depending on if it's a shopping store, a lead generation store. So we can create as many goals as we wanted to, depending on our objectives and what you are looking to generate. And then from that, we can use that to measure our campaigns over time. So they're actually quite easy to create. You can create them. So if you know you're using your website and those tracking campaigns have been created, it will do a scan of your site, and then you can ultimately just select those objectives. The nice thing with Facebook and Google, it's kind of done for you. They'll see, okay, the tracking campaigns have been added to this and this, and it'll can apply automatically. I've already set this up, so I'm not going to be doing it in this instance. But now if we did have to look at some of the metrics that we've collected, so this is a campaign that has been only running for this month. So we're still collecting some data, and we're just going to be reviewing some of the data we've collected to make some improvements. You'll probably see, okay, I'm not seeing, most of the time Google is going to be, as your campaigns run, Google is going to be bombarding you with recommendations. Increase your budget. That's normally going to be the bigger one. Increase your budget. Switch your keywords from, okay, I'm not seeing it here. Switch your keywords from phrase match or exact match to broad match. So Google is kind of there to try and help us generate leads, but at the same time, they also out to fill their pockets. So it's trying to really review and understand which of these are going to give me the results that matter to my company. And most of the times, I wouldn't always advise just applying their recommendations, because sometimes it's more for their benefit than our benefit. Get more conversions at a similar CPA, setting up a target, and staying unconstrained by budget. So yeah, they're kind of gonna set a target, set a cost per acquisition, and they're asking me to increase that to 4.8%. I'm not ready for that yet, as that could increase my budget by 4.8%, and I don't feel so. And it will auto apply that. I feel once we've collected data over a 3 to 4 month period, this is something that we could advise because it's learned a little bit more. I feel that Google hasn't learned anything yet because we haven't even adjusted the campaigns yet. So I would advise them at dismissing that. I don't think it's going to improve my performance. Next is going to ask us to raise our budget. You'll see that, so it's going to, the campaign says it's going to generate extra 913 clicks, but there we aren't ready for that. So sometimes volume isn't always what's needed. It's first for us to understand how many, say for example, now if we are generating 100 visitors through to our website, number one, what is happening with that 100 users? Are we seeing leads? Are we not? And if we are you happy with that conversion rate? Because now if we just had to add extra 900 clicks through to our website, but we've only got a 0.1% conversion rate, we will still be sitting with a 0.1% conversion rate, but be spending more for not acquiring much less. So it's first to understand, what are we converting? What are our numbers? And if we are happy with our numbers, we can look at scaling. So I would advise again on dismissing this because it's not relevant just yet. It won't help us. And yes, some images, but so we will touch on that. So I'm just going to go back to the campaigns to illustrate some of the metrics and some more of the data. Maybe starting more with the overview. So just as a quick overview, so far for this month, so this store is actually selling quite high-end products that they sell for, just as an example, selling some high-end products that go between 3,000 Rand to 5,000, 6,000 plus. So they're selling quite a high-end ticket. So it's also there for you to know if you're doing a bulk model or a once-off model, and where your profit margins lie and what you'd be prepared to pay for some form of acquisition. So yeah, initially we can see, okay, over time, now this month, we've generated 765 clicks through to our website. I'm going to just change some of the options we can look at trying to view to understand more of the data we had. From that, we saw 30,000 impressions. So our ad was imprinted 30,000 times. And okay, there's no reach, so that's not something to focus on. What was our average cost per click? So our average cost per click for this account was £2.49. So that's a acceptable cost per click. But to put something else, so again, depending on the competition, and the competition can also continually increase the cost per click. So if I knew my average cost per click was now £2.50, but I wanted to be at the top of search every single time, I could bid that I'm prepared to pay £5 for a cost per click. And if the competition has only entered in the generic baseline or what's kind of being on auction, they would, and if I'm prepared to pay £5, Google will say, okay, well, if you'd be prepared to pay £5, I'll put you at the top. But if I click on that, I'm paying £5. But then I've gotten towards the top. So that's where that auction can be quite powerful if you know that your landing page can convert 50%, 100%, and you prepared for your keyword to be at the top, you're more than welcome to bid for that keyword. Further to that, and then we got our overall costs. We can see that we've spent £1,900. So that could be a high cost, but what have we generated from that? So we've actually seen that we've generated 25.13. Okay, I need to investigate the fraction conversion, but we generated 25 sales in this month, which is quite good. So sometimes you won't always see that form of number of conversions. First, for us to collect some data and then over time optimize. So this has worked out quite well. So ultimately, it's a 3.28% conversion rate. The nice thing is that you can actually Google online. So Google Ads. So while you're collecting data, you can actually understand what is your average industry benchmark conversion rate. So that might also help you understand what is the average click-through rate within your industry. So they've actually, this is called WordStream, and they provide a lot of insights into different industries and what is working, what's not working, how those industries are performing. So maybe you want to go through, so click-through rate, average cost per click. So this is all in dollars, unfortunately, but that gives you some form of insights in what are other companies or what is the industry average cost per click. Google Search Network and then Google Display Network. And then we've also got the conversion rate. So there you can also understand what is the average conversion rate within that specific industry. And now once you've started collecting that data, where do you fall in? Is it above norm? Is it below norm? Because then that'll help you understand if you're doing something right or wrong, or at least you're in the right direction. So this is consumer services, I'm guessing e-commerce. So more e-commerce, so 2.8%. So at the moment, we are above the industry standard. And over time, the more data we collect, the more informed decisions we can make and hopefully acquire more sales. Any questions on anything at the moment and where I am? So this is just some of the metric options that allow us to kind of view and see a nice overview of our campaign. Further to this, another option that I would advise business owners or ad managers have a look at is the mobile to computer breakdown, because this can also help you understand which platform is working for you and if there's any potential errors on your website. So as we collect more data, we can see, okay, now we've generated 765 clicks through to the website. Number one, yeah, I want to see, and what I'm quite interested in first off is how many of those clicks came from mobile and how many came from desktop. So you'll see about 80%, 84% of the ads people searched on mobile. So that's more, mobile is then more of a research platform. Users don't take too much action, especially with high ticket items on mobile, whereas the 15% came from computer. So the impression rate is quite similar. If we also have a look at our costs, our cost breakdown is also quite similar. So, but where it comes quite interesting is when I look at all our conversions, is that 60% of our conversions came from desktop. So yeah, we can hopefully make some form of informed decision to say there's potentially a issue on the mobile side of the website, that we're taking 80% of the users are coming to mobile, but 60% are converting from desktop. So ultimately, in my professional opinion, I would probably try and turn off any mobile ads right now and try and focus more on desktop, because desktop is a better performing channel and will give us a better return initially. And we, over time, over the next month or two, try and improve or optimize mobile to try and find out why is mobile lagging behind, and then testing it out to find, is it a loading issue? Is there a conversion process flow issue? Can't the person click on a specific button? Is there a button out of line? Understanding those things would assist to kind of alleviate certain bottlenecks that you could generate additional results moving forward. Any questions on that element? And also, what is further quite nice, you can also understand, we mentioned the day and night. Yeah, there's also a kind of a heat map of when are people searching for your keywords and when are you getting the most either impressions or clicks. At the same time, there may be even conversions, because we probably find that most of the conversions are possibly happening, I would have thought possibly later on in the day, but these are happening between 8 and 9 in the morning. So maybe that they've already done their research possibly in the evening. So that's where mobile can't always be disallowed, because research can be important. But there's definitely some form of action not happening on the sites, and then maybe going back again to the impressions or the clicks to see, okay, there's a lot of interaction during the day and not just in the evening. So there, we might need more data. This is maybe only 1 month snapshot. So have a snapshot over a longer time period would allow us to view a more concise data and make more informed decisions. A bit of age demographic and female gender demographic, that might then also help with understanding our demographic, knowing that, okay, it's more females in the age range 25 to 34 that are searching, and then females 35 to 44. So that might also help us understand our audience a little bit more, and then how we can target them on other channels. Any questions on the Google side of things? The reporting, any areas you'd have me focus on a little bit more? I'm just going to be going further into some of the search terms, and the reporting editor I wouldn't look at too much. So the search terms, again, maybe focusing a bit more detail in there. So as the ads have been running over the last few weeks, really understanding now what are people searching for and clicking on to get through to our website, and what is converting. So yeah, I haven't seen a few. I'm going to select all and then toggle that my conversion keywords display at the top. So yeah, I had 10 sales that came through our shopping campaign. So we will probably be reactivating that. But something does seem wrong here, as it has, so I'll just, that needed, there could be some form of conversion incorrect tracking. It's also quite nice here. So a boys bunk bed, there was only 1 impression, 1 click, and that person converted. So those could be certain winners that we would like to focus on, knowing that our conversion rate is quite good for specific keywords. So keeping them and focusing more on them, and maybe adding additional budget through to them. So again, understanding what is working, what's not working, focusing on those winners, and then maybe even excluding certain underperformers once you've now seen that. Let's maybe have a keyword that generates a lot of clicks. Impressions, okay, clicks, but no conversions. So just bunk beds that might not be maybe specific enough. But we might also need to collect more data over time here. So maybe, yeah, that relevance, we might need to make it more relevant and exclude this, but it is quite an exact match. So some tweaks and optimization would be needed, and possibly even turning this keyword off. But at the same time, it is an affordable keyword. So as long as the costs fit in line with your budgets and your margins, you should be okay. And once things aren't performing, you can actually go through to your keywords and then turn off any specific keywords that you would like to not focus on anymore. So maybe have a look at the shopping ads, campaigns. So say, for example, now we wanted to turn off a specific keyword. It's a matter of just pausing it, and that keyword won't display or be used if anyone's searching on it for a specific time period. We can also add additional keywords if needed at any time. So your campaign is running, but now you've thought of some more, or you actually want to look at what Google is suggesting. We can actually then add additional keywords added to our campaign, and those will be added as we go. So the campaign can be improved, adjusted. Underperforming keywords can be removed. So there's a lot that can be done as you're collecting data and running. We can also then create additional ads, because as mentioned, maybe one message might resonate with one audience, but might not resonate with a different audience. So we can create additional campaign types there. Any questions on that? I'm also going to maybe quickly just also look at some of the more admin features. So in terms of billing, when you sign up for a new account, you might be able to get a coupon code. So that's something maybe to look at, is trying to see if you can sign up for that. There is a new thing that Google has been implementing and will be requesting advertiser verification. That's just to ensure that the company is who they say they are, and that they're trying to avoid less spam moving forward. So that is a bit of a headache that people are seeing at the moment. And then all your transaction history will also be within your dashboard. So everything within Google Ads would display within your Google Ads account. Your billing activity, transactions, but I don't think that's too much for us to focus on now. Some additional tools that we could look at is maybe planning and your keyword planner. So the keyword planner is also sometimes quite helpful to get some new ideas, understand what the search volume is for specific keywords. Even with that, you can also use ChatGPT to kind of maybe get an idea and do a lot of that research for you. This is the industry you're in. These are your competitors, and it can provide you with some suggestions. The same thing for reach planner, performance planner. It's now testing these tools out to see what information you can extract and leveraging Google to the most of its abilities. The one thing, if we're looking at Google and Google Shop, we would need a Google Merchant account created. So that could be a bit of a headache. So for your products to display in Google's search network or shop network, as an example here, we'd actually need to sign up for a Google's merchant account, and all your products would need to either be uploaded into the merchant account and then or synced directly from your website. Not sure what account this is. Okay, this is for Black Diamond. So these products feed directly through from their website. So if any changes are made on their website, it's included directly into Google's merchant account, and then those ads are then used to display directly on Google Shop. So that can then display on the Google's free network, So with Google Merchant, these would be the free listings. So it's just additional exposure for your shopping products. And then if you are using ads, if we use shop ads, they would then display at the top here, and you could get some additional insights from organic searches, ads, how people are interacting with your products, what are the top performing products in terms of search, from advertising perspective or organic perspective. So that is also quite nice over time, knowing that you are getting some organic reach and not just having to do paid reach. It is advised, though, with the Google Shop to optimize your product titles to include as much information as possible. So here, I would have probably advised to include either now unisex t-shirts, promo 145. So the more specific you could be with that information, you'll see some have included quite a lot of info, and a v-neck t-shirt white, even, and ladies. So the more specific you could be, the better, because that would help align the user's search to match with that product, and the more relevant, hopefully, the quicker that they could take action. Any questions on Google Ads, shopping, reporting, insights? Nothing at the moment. So next, I'll probably be we will be touching on utilizing Google Ads with Facebook. So the nice thing is that with Google Ads, these are users that are searching your products and website. It is heavily advised that on your website, that we'll be moving on to Google now, but that you do have your Facebook pixel installed. Okay, on the site, I don't do their Facebook marketing. I only do their Google Ads, but it is advised to have that Facebook pixel in place. I'll probably show you this one. Just refreshing. So the advantage of using the Facebook pixel, so with Google Ads, we've paid to generate that traffic through to our website. If we are looking at a 1% conversion rate, that means in general, only 1% of the users we've taken through to the website will convert. But because we've now paid for that traffic acquisition, that relevance must still be there. The person must be interested in our products and services, but are probably now researching or looking around. Lisa, maybe just correct me if I'm wrong. When would we be doing that small break, just so that I can kind of maybe not cross over too much into Facebook?
So that's up to you, Justin. If we have finished one section, I'm very happy for us to break now. It's 11:15. So happy for us to break now, if that suits everybody.
Sure. I maybe just want to then touch on, I'm not going to go into the detail, but yes, so we will be moving over to Facebook next, which has a lot more options for us. So just kind of maybe now separating the two. So Google can be very powerful for people that you now know are looking for your products and services. Generally with Google, you'd find a better quality client, sometimes a higher cost. So there's not trying to work out what are you looking for? Are you looking for volume in terms of lead generation? Okay, for sales, it's not always, yes, you're looking for volume, but now the better cost acquisition. So from a lead generation perspective, Google, and for sales, Google is definitely a good channel to use. But again, it can also be leveraged and utilized with another platform like TikTok, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So now again, maybe we've paid, let's say, either between 5 Rand to 10 Rand for the user to click on our ad and now land on our website. But now that user hasn't taken action, will be used. So because our Facebook pixel or a LinkedIn pixel is on our website, and if that user is logged into any of those platforms, we can essentially start to track them. So that can be an additional module or point of leverage now for us to potentially target that user and get our ads in front of them again. So on average, a user will only take action between 1 to 7 times of seeing some form of advertisement. They might need some form of trust or credibility generated for them. So they're either in some form of research phase, and the more awareness or the more that they can start to see our ad. Now we know that with Google, we've attracted them to our website. Generally now we know that they're interested in what we have to say. Maybe our website didn't convert them right away, but that relevance is there, that interest is there. Ideally, we don't want to just mark them completely as lost, because that means we would always be looking to acquire new traffic. We've paid 10 Rand or 15 Rand or 20 Rand for that click. How can we potentially lure him back at a cheaper cost by using cheap traffic sources like Facebook, TikTok, to now generate him to click back onto our website at maybe a 50-cent click or a 1 Rand click, as opposed to now trying to acquire a new traffic source for 15 Rand to 20 Rand. So that's just the one thing I wanted to touch on there, is that now we will be kind of here and there mentioning where we can utilize our search traffic, our website traffic with Facebook and social media ads to leverage that interest and hopefully convert things further. Any questions on where we are, or before we take a quick break? Everyone happy for now? Then I think Lisa, is it a 10-15 minute break?
Yeah, what do you think, Justin? 10-15 minutes? Which one?
I'm good. 10, I'm good with 10, because I think Facebook is quite a bit to cover.
Okay, let's meet back here at 11. Use the same login details, everybody.
Perfect.